Everyone noticed that I had stopped chasing after Remy, including Remy himself. After school, he blocked my way with a cold expression. "I'll only explain what happened that day once," he said flatly. "Whether you believe it or not is up to you." Layla was cornered by a drunk. I went to help her. "I forgot to let you know. That was my fault." That day was his birthday. He was fighting for Layla, while I was left alone at the amusement park for an entire day. So that was it. Remy thought I was sulking over this. I shook my head lightly. "It's fine." Then, under his dark, unreadable gaze, I quietly walked past him and left. What he didn't know was that the moment he abandoned me again that day, the system had already judged my mission a failure. 1 month later, I would be erased and sent back to the real world. And this body would be returned to its original owner. When the amusement park staff reminded me for the 3rd time that the park was about to close, the system let out a sigh. "Anna, go home," it said. "Remy isn't coming. He's with Layla right now. He's already forgotten that he promised to come to the amusement park with you today." I stomped my aching feet, picked up the cake box, and turned to leave. Okay. All the anticipation I'd had that morning before leaving was worn down, little by little, until nothing remained. All that was left was calm. Even when I heard the system announce my failure. "In 1 month, you'll be involved in a car accident. This is the penalty for failing your mission. I'll send you back to the real world while you're severely injured and unconscious. As for this body, it will be taken over again by its original owner." After delivering the notification, the system disappeared. I took out my phone to call a car. Only then did I notice the battery was about to die. The next second, the screen went black. I didn't have any cash on me either, nothing to hail a taxi with. In the end, I resigned myself to walking home along the road. Failing the mission had always been expected. But at this moment, an overwhelming exhaustion still flooded my body, impossible to suppress. Each step I took felt unbearably heavy. On the way home from the amusement park, I passed by the school. On a Saturday, the campus should have been quiet and deserted. Instead, on a bench not far from the school gate, sat 2 people I knew all too well. In Layla's hands was a small sponge cake, with a single matchstick stuck into it. "I'm sorry, Remy," she said softly. "I only found out just now that today is your birthday. I didn't have time to prepare a proper cake. This is all I have. I hope you don't mind." The boy sitting across from her had several fresh cuts on his face. A bandage was wrapped around his forehead, though his messy bangs half concealed it, giving him a lazy, reckless air. He didn't find the little cake ridiculous at all. He even took out a lighter and lit the matchstick for her. "No," he said. "I think it's nice." Remy's voice was as cool and indifferent as ever. Yet somehow, there was a faint trace of gentleness in it. I couldn't help but think back to yesterday after school. In the school's baking classroom, I had held up a birthday cake I'd revised again and again until I was finally satisfied, showing it to Remy. "Does it look good?" He leaned against the doorway with his arms crossed. At my words, he glanced at my hand, blistered from the oven, and spoke impatiently. "Just looking at your hand is enough to make me sick." A little embarrassed, I tried to hide my hand inside my uniform sleeve. Remy looked tired and irritable. He stepped closer, grabbed my wrist, and dragged me toward the pharmacy. "What are you hiding for? You burned yourself and didn't even think to apply medicine. Do you have a brain or not?" Though he looked visibly annoyed, his movements as he treated my wound were gentle and patient. I gathered my courage again, unwilling to give up. "Remy, did you like the cake?" He stared at the blisters on my hand, his brows tightly knit. "It's ugly." At the time, the system had comforted me. "Don't listen to him. He's just angry because you burned yourself making the cake. He says one thing and means another. He actually cares about you." Pulled back from my thoughts, I stood quietly across the street. I watched Remy lower his voice to reassure the girl, telling her he didn't mind the crude little cake at all. Only then did I finally realize. Even someone as twisted and difficult as Remy, when he truly liked someone, could be gentle. He would soften all his sharp edges, pay attention to her pride, and never bear to let her feel disappointed. I didn't know what Remy felt for me. But whatever it wasn't love. I withdrew my gaze and turned to leave. Layla noticed me. "Anna? What are you doing here?" Remy turned around. His eyes landed on the cake in my hands, and he froze slightly. As if only then remembering the plan we'd made for today. Layla saw the cake too, realization dawning on her face. "You came to find Remy, didn't you? I heard you were planning to celebrate his birthday at the amusement park today. I'm sorry, because of me, you got stood up." Her apology sounded perfunctory. As if she were already used to Remy abandoning me for her, time and time again. And as for me, well, nothing ever really happened. At most, I'd sulk for a day or two, then go right back to chasing after Remy, shameless as ever. I shook my head, denying her first assumption. I was just passing by. Remy stared at me intently, his expression tense. Layla smiled sweetly. Clearly, she thought I was just saving face. Without waiting for a response, she added casually, well, it's perfect that you brought the cake. It's not too late to celebrate now. When she reached out to take it, I sidestepped and shook my head. It's already gone bad. You can't eat it. I pressed my lips together and said goodbye softly. It's late. I'm going home now. Bye. Layla froze. In the past, I'd always seized every chance to stick close to Remy. But now, I was the one leaving space for them. I walked a few steps with the cake in my arms, then remembered something. Turning back, I asked Layla awkwardly, could you lend me $20? My phone died, and I can't call a car. I'll take you home. Almost the instant my last word fell, Remy spoke up. His voice was fast, tight with tension. I acted as if I hadn't heard him. Layla hesitated. I have some. She took out the money and handed it to me. Thank you. I'll pay you back on Monday. I took it and left. From beginning to end, I didn't look at Remy even once. Perhaps it was because I already knew I was going home. That night, I dreamed of my life back in the real world. It was during a long break between classes. I was holding a novel, reading as I cried. My deskmate looked at me in confusion. Isn't that supposed to be a fluffy romance? I sobbed in broken breaths. For the second male lead, Remy, it isn't. His entire life is just too bitter. He's been secretly in love with the female lead, Layla, since high school. But because of his poor family background, his insecurity, and his sensitive nature, he never confessed. Even by the end of the story, after he becomes a powerful business tycoon, he still only watches over her in silence. And the worst part is, during high school, he was constantly bullied by the novel's villainous female supporting character, the spoiled heiress Anna. My deskmate pulled out a tissue and handed it to me. Your name is Ariana, hers is Anna. Your names sound so similar. I slammed my hand on the desk in indignation. I feel ashamed just thinking about it. But that very night, I transmigrated into the novel. Into the body of the person I hated most. Anna. The system's requirement was simple, conquer Remy. Win over Remy. That year, Anna was the person he hated most. Difficulty level, SSS. The system looked me over, eyeing my obvious excitement. Hell level difficulty, and you're still this happy? Because I can change Remy's miserable youth, I said. I jumped up in delight, my bangs bouncing wildly. I'm going to give him the very best of everything. I won't let him suffer ever again. The system had no faith in my chances. It said it would simply wait until time was up, then send me back to the real world. I spent 2 full years trying to soften Remy. By the end, his favorability toward me was so high that even the system thought victory was within reach. But in the end, I still failed. Thinking about it now, I had no right to blame Remy. He liked Layla to begin with. Putting her first, giving everything for her, it was only natural. I only came to understand that truth because, recently, I had stopped liking Remy. I'd been blown by the wind all day yesterday. The next morning, it wasn't surprising at all to find that I'd caught a cold. After taking some medicine, I received a call from one of Remy's friends. Anna, Bro Green is planning to make up Remy's birthday today. At the amusement park you two originally agreed on. Are you coming? Remy had never cared much about birthdays. I could guess what this was, his way of compensating me for yesterday. When I spoke, my voice was thick with congestion. You guys go ahead. I'm going to the library today. The caller's voice moved farther from the receiver. Bro Green, Anna says she's not coming. A few seconds later, I heard a short, faintly mocking laugh. Whatever. That reaction wasn't unexpected. Remy had never been particularly patient with me. This was already the furthest he could go in terms of backing down. I couldn't hold back a couple of coughs. The guy on the phone noticed and spoke again. Anna, you caught a cold? Then don't come. It's fine. Get some good rest. Before hanging up, I heard him ask, hey, where's Bro Green? Where'd he go? Someone answered in the background, looks like he went to the pharmacy. What for? Didn't he just change his bandages? No idea. I went to the library with Marvin. Marvin was Anna's childhood friend, her lifelong next-door neighbor. He was also the only person in this world who knew I was a transmigrator. Not long after I arrived in this world, he'd already seen through me. Marvin studied me carefully, then let out a quiet scoff. Stop trying to lie. You can't fool me. No one knows Anna better than I do. After I confessed everything about the mission, he was only shocked for a brief moment before accepting it. Maybe it was because I was wearing Anna's face. Over the past 2 years, he had treated me well. He was one of the most important friends I had in this world. On the way to the library, I told him about my failed mission. So that means, in a month, you're leaving? Yes. The real Anna will be back soon. You can finally reunite with your little childhood sweetheart. Marvin's work-style messenger bag swayed with his steps, tapping lightly against his back. He smiled faintly but didn't respond. His eyes were calm, almost emotionless. We didn't return until the library closed. Marvin's family villa was right next to mine. When we reached his gate, I stopped, about to say goodbye. Marvin stared silently ahead, toward my house. I followed his gaze. And met Remy's dark, heavy eyes. He was dressed in a black windbreaker, making his pale face look even colder. The cuts along his cheekbones and jaw gave him an added edge of hostility. In his hand, Remy was carrying a bag of medicine. I snapped back to my senses and turned to Marvin. You're home. Go on in. Bye. He could tell I didn't want him getting involved between Remy and me. He didn't ask anything, just nodded. Call me anytime if you need something. With a soft click, Marvin's door closed. Remy's gaze slowly shifted as he watched me walk toward him, fingers gripping the strap of my backpack. Did you need something from me? He answered my question with one of his own. Didn't you catch a cold? You were chatting with him so happily. You seemed to be in good spirits. As if to contradict him, my throat tickled, and I couldn't help coughing twice. The mockery in Remy's eyes faded slightly. I sniffed. If there's nothing else, I'm going inside. He stepped sideways, blocking my path. The cold radiating from him made my shoulders tremble. I didn't know how long he'd been standing there for his clothes to be this cold. You're sick, and you still ran around outside with him. Remy shoved the bag of medicine into my arms, his face expressionless. And about yesterday, when I stood you up. I'll only explain once. Believe it or not, that's up to you. He wasn't good at apologizing, his explanation was brief and blunt. Layla was cornered by a drunk yesterday. I went to help her. I forgot to tell you and made you wait for so long. That was my fault. In my memory, Remy had always disdained explaining himself. The fact that he came to find me today genuinely surprised me. But beyond that, I felt nothing. I handed the medicine back to him and looked up. Thank you, but I can't take your things. I can buy medicine myself. I've accepted your apology for yesterday. Is there anything else? I really need to go home. Remy pressed his lips together tightly, his gaze locked on me. As if silently asking, what's wrong with you? After a moment, when he still didn't answer, I took it as a no. I whispered a soft goodbye, walked past him, and went inside. Back in my room, I looked down through the window. He stood there in silence for a long time. Then, as if finally realizing something, he let out a cold, self-mocking laugh. He casually tossed the medicine into a nearby trash can and left without expression. Remy must have understood my meaning. This time, I wasn't sulking. I had truly, completely given up on him. Perhaps it was because I had chased after Remy longer than anyone else, and done so more openly than anyone else, that when I suddenly fell silent and gave up on him, hardly anyone noticed. During PE class, the boys in our class split into teams and played basketball. Both Remy and Marvin were injured at the same time. As soon as I heard the news, I rushed to the infirmary. When Remy fought, he didn't just fight hard, he fought with skill. He almost never lost. Over the past 2 years, his reputation had steadily grown. Enough to intimidate the local troublemakers around the school, keeping them from causing problems. And as a result, he'd gained a group of followers who admired strength. Inside the infirmary, Remy was surrounded by a crowd of boys. On Marvin's side, only the PE committee member offered a couple of perfunctory words. When Remy's friends saw me, one of them grinned teasingly. Hey, Fluff. Bro Green is fine. No need to panic like that, okay? Don't imagine your crush as being so fragile. Remy kept his expression tight, not even lifting his head. I hadn't expected that even his friends hadn't noticed yet that I'd stopped clinging to Remy these past few days. I could only pretend I hadn't heard anything. I walked around them and stopped in front of Marvin. Is it serious? Do you want me to take leave and go to the hospital with you? After all, Marvin had taken care of me before when I was sick. The infirmary was quiet, but not truly calm. It felt more like the air itself was taut and pressing down, stifling every sound. Marvin cast a light glance at Remy's back. It's nothing, he said. It just hurts a bit. He smiled faintly, then looked at me with an awkward expression. There's no one to help me back to the classroom. Anna, help me out. I nodded. Marvin slung an arm over my shoulder, limping as we left together. After that, people seemed to realize something. They stopped joking about Remy and me. A few days later, the system appeared again without any warning. It brought a new mission. I specifically applied for this one for you. If you succeed, the car accident you'll experience when you leave won't involve any pain. The system continued, next week is your senior year graduation ceremony, right? To avoid interfering with college entrance exam preparation, the school had moved the ceremony up to the very beginning of the second semester. I heard that each class is only allowed to submit one performance. Anna, as long as you secure that performance slot, the mission will be considered a success. The next day, I saw the sign-up sheet on the class monitor's desk. Besides me, 3 other people had signed up to compete for the spot. Layla had registered for a piano performance. The arts committee member signed up for a solo song. And another boy planned to do a stand-up comedy routine. Like the arts committee member, I also signed up for solo singing. After all, it was the only thing I could still count as a strength. For the sake of fairness, the class monitor said, all 4 of us would record our performances in full. They would be played during class meeting, and the entire class would vote to decide which program would represent the class on stage. There was no result on the day of the class meeting. Because Layla and I tied for first place. The class monitor looked miserable. Is there anyone who hasn't voted yet? Oh, Remy didn't vote. He didn't come to school today. In the end, the class monitor decided that 3 days later, Layla and I would go through another round of voting. Marvin looked irritated. Right now, the class is split evenly between you and Layla. Remy's the only one who hasn't stated his position. But does it even need saying? He snapped. He's definitely going to vote for Layla. Marvin and I sat by the floor-to-ceiling window of a milk tea shop. Outside was a crossroads, packed with traffic. Cars sped past at full force. The impact was visible to the naked eye. It instantly reminded me of the car accident waiting for me. To say I wasn't afraid would be a lie. I wrapped my hands around the warm cup of milk tea. I want to try. Try what? Convincing Remy to vote for me. When I used to like Remy, pleasing him came naturally. Now, even starting a conversation with him felt awkward and unfamiliar. The day before the vote, right after the dismissal bell rang, I gathered my courage and walked up to his desk. Do you have a moment? He leaned back in his chair and lifted his gaze. You need something? I nodded twice. Behind me, I heard a light, cheerful set of footsteps. Remy. It was Layla. Will you walk with me after school tonight to feed the stray cats? Disappointment had just begun to rise in my chest. I lowered my head, already preparing to leave. Remy said calmly, I'm not free tonight. Layla clearly hadn't expected him to refuse. She froze for a rare moment, then curved her lips into a smile. Oh, okay. Then I'll go by myself. The classroom emptied quickly. Remy lowered his eyelids, not looking at me. Speak, he said. What is it? I hurriedly pulled a tube of ointment from my bag. I noticed the cuts on your face haven't healed yet, so I bought this. It was an incredibly clumsy attempt at currying favor. My intention couldn't have been more obvious. After saying it, I shut my eyes briefly, bracing myself for his mockery. But Remy's expression didn't change. He took the ointment and examined it in his hand. A sudden impulse struck me, and I tried. How about I apply it for you? In response, Remy simply handed the ointment back to me. I dragged over a chair and sat beside him. After dipping a cotton swab into the ointment, I carefully dabbed it onto his wounds. The classroom was quiet, broken only by brief exchanges. Remy, turn your face a little. Is this a cut too? This one hasn't scabbed yet. Will it hurt when I apply the medicine? No. After finishing, I began to organize my words. I was trying to figure out how to bring up the vote naturally. He cut straight to the point. Say it plainly. What do you need me to do? Being seen through so easily made my face warm with embarrassment. After a long pause, I took a deep breath and looked him straight in the eye. Tomorrow, could you vote for me in the program selection? That spot is really important to me. It was my first time trying to bribe someone, and I stumbled over my words. Are you hungry? I can treat you to dinner. When I started awkwardly suggesting things like buying him a computer or a gaming console, Remy interrupted me. Anna. He looked at me. After a long moment, his low, steady voice sounded close to my ear. If you want my vote, answer me one question. What? Do you like Marvin? I shook my head. We've always just been friends. What does that have to do with your vote? He didn't answer, but the coldness in his eyes softened noticeably. The boy stood up, as if about to leave. I pressed my lips together. Then, will you vote for me tomorrow? Remy rolled his neck once, slung his bag over his shoulder, and walked lazily toward the door. Yeah. Before the class meeting, my deskmate asked me in surprise, why are you in such a good mood? It feels like every single strand of your hair is bouncing with excitement. I curved my eyes into a smile and said nothing. I was about to go home. And without any pain. The class bell rang. The class monitor walked up to the podium and began calling out the votes. Oh, right, he added. Before I read them out, Remy, you voted this time, right? I turned to look at him, unable to hide the smile in my eyes. The boy met my gaze, then suddenly looked away. I did. A sharp sense of foreboding rose in my chest. The class monitor counted the votes one by one. Every second felt unbearably slow, each one an ordeal. All right. That's all the votes, he said. Layla wins by 1 vote. The girl smiled brightly. Thank you all for supporting me. The class monitor nodded. I'll submit your program after class. My fingers loosened. The fountain pen slipped from my hand and clattered to the floor. The crisp sound drew many eyes. In the sudden silence, a snicker broke out. No way, what's with that look on her face? What's she even surprised about? Remy voting for Layla was a done deal, wasn't it? It's been 2 years already, how did she still think she mattered more to Remy than Layla? Seriously. That's hilarious. As the words fell, a book slammed down in front of the speaker. Marvin smiled as he asked, if you've got the guts, say it louder. I stared blankly at my fingertips. The mockery felt distant, as if coming from far away, echoing. Again and again, striking my eardrums. The last sound that reached me was the system's helpless sigh. Anna. You've failed again. Marvin found me behind the basketball hoop in the gym. Half an hour had already passed since school ended. He crouched in front of me, visibly at a loss. Anna. I hugged my knees, my gaze hollow. Marvin, I said softly. I saw someone online say that when the impact is really violent, you might pass out before you even feel the pain. Do you think that's true? Marvin's jaw tightened. That bastard Remy. The next second, the bastard he mentioned appeared in my line of sight. Marvin shot to his feet. You've got the nerve to show up? One of Remy's friends stepped in front of him. Can you stop blowing up without knowing the whole story? He frowned at me. The period before the vote, Layla went to Bro Green and said her parents were getting divorced. She said her mom was about to go abroad and start a new life. She wanted her mom to see her perform on stage before she left. That's why Bro Green changed his decision at the last minute. The boy looked genuinely puzzled. Anna, do you really have to compete with Layla for this? Marvin ground his teeth. You don't know shit. You have no idea how important that slot is to her. I stood up and stopped Marvin from continuing. Let's go, I said quietly. I want to go home. Remy called out to me in a hoarse voice. Why is that slot so important to you? He took a step closer, lowering his head to look at me. If you really want to perform, I can contact the student council. I'll help you get an extra slot, have you perform under the student council's name. After saying that, he softened his voice and added, okay? His eyes trembled slightly, as if something were slipping from his grasp, leaving him momentarily unsteady. Marvin shoved him away roughly. Stay the hell away from her. Forget the student council, at this point, even if you dragged out every slot available, it wouldn't matter. How could Anna ever have liked a piece of trash like you? Then he grabbed my wrist. Anna. Let's go. Once we left the gym, somewhere Remy couldn't see, I finally felt the air ease. A car accident might hurt. Or maybe I'd pass out before I could feel anything at all. In that moment, something inside me suddenly loosened. Anything was fine. As long as I could go home. Back to a world without Remy. Before disappearing, the system asked me one last question. After declaring my mission a failure. Anna, when you return to that world, do you want to forget everything that happened here? I can erase your memories. Time in your original world has been frozen on the day you transmigrated. If you choose erasure, when you return, it'll feel like nothing more than a vague dream. You'll wake up the next morning and go to school as usual. The room was completely silent. The system didn't urge me. It knew this was something that required careful thought. After a long time, I heard myself say, okay. The graduation ceremony was approaching. Layla practiced diligently. During breaks, we sometimes heard her tapping her desk like a piano, humming the melody as she played. At lunch, she changed into a newly bought dress. Do you think this is too formal to wear while performing? She asked. No, it's beautiful. Really? She ran over to Remy's desk, lifted her skirt, and spun once. Then what about you, Remy? Do you like it? Worried about my mood, Marvin came to look for me. Anna, want to go out and get some air? I looked up from my test papers and saw the tension on his face. I'm fine, I said. I tapped my pen against the page. I'm preparing for the English competition. The competition was in half a month. Just a few days before I would leave. The system had told me I was different from other players. I wasn't physically transmigrated, I was soulbound. So even until my last day, I had to live and study as usual. I couldn't leave trouble behind for the original owner of this body. But when the English teacher told me that Remy had also advanced to the finals, and that she planned to have the two of us come to the office together during morning, noon, and evening study sessions every day to practice competition questions. I still couldn't stop myself from speaking up. Teacher, may I withdraw from the competition? Standing off to the side, Remy's hand at his side curled slightly. Under the harsh glare of the fluorescent lights, his lowered lashes trembled faintly, his face looking pale. He seemed wrapped in a thin layer of dust. Indistinct, dejected. The English teacher refused outright, without even asking for a reason. No. This competition carries a lot of weight. You need to take it seriously. Yes, teacher. Fortunately, Remy wasn't much of a talker. Even though we practiced problems together in the office every morning, noon, and evening study session, we barely exchanged a word. After finishing a short quiz, the teacher tossed the answer sheet over. Give me the essays. As for the rest, you two exchange papers and grade each other. If there's anything you don't understand, come ask me. Maybe it was because I spent too long thinking over a wrong question. Remy wrote the explanation on scrap paper. He had just pushed it over to my side when the teacher noticed. Hey, Remy, just explain it to her directly. It'd be best if you two can go over the wrong questions together. When the teacher stepped out to get hot water, I took the paper. Thanks, I said. Then added, you can explain it directly. Remy paused, then said quietly, I thought you didn't want to talk to me. My eyes skimmed the reading passage at lightning speed. I didn't look up, only gave a soft hum. But the teacher just asked you to explain. His pen tip rested on the test paper. It stayed there for a long time, unmoving, until the ink bled into a dark blot. The closer it got to the competition, the longer the English teacher kept us after evening study to practice problems. Sometimes she even dragged it out for an extra hour. That day, she kept us for nearly an hour and a half before finally letting us go. The school was almost completely empty. I shook my head, trying to clear the English letters swirling inside it, and quickened my pace. Suddenly, a muffled groan sounded behind me. I stopped and turned around. Remy was clutching his stomach, his other hand braced against the wall, barely able to stand. His bloodless face made the severity of his condition unmistakable. I pressed my lips together in irritation and walked back. Remy, are you okay? He tried to straighten up. Failed. I'm fine. The tremor in his voice made the words thoroughly unconvincing. I let out a silent sigh. So tired. I really wanted to go home. The entire building was already empty. I had no choice but to call the driver and ask him to come up and help take Remy to the hospital. The driver helped him register. I supported Remy toward the emergency department. Not long after, we were carrying forms to do examinations, then heading back to the consultation room. Even the driver was panting from exhaustion. As the doctor wrote out orders, he said, acute gastritis. He needs N4. Just help him over to the infusion room. Remy turned his head to look at me, my eyes barely able to stay open. His gaze dimmed. Sorry for delaying you from going home. I don't hurt that much anymore. I can go get the 4 myself. You should go back. I was about to say something, when a familiar figure entered my field of vision. Relief washed over me. I waved toward her. Layla, we're over here. The moment the words left my mouth, my wrist was gripped tightly. Remy yanked me toward him, a storm raging in his eyes. You called her here. I struggled. What's wrong? Remy, let go of me. Instead, he pulled me even closer. You hate me that much now? I was baffled by his sudden anger. What are you talking about? Why did you have to call her? Remy's voice was icy. What are you trying to prove? That you really don't care about me and Layla anymore? That you're even willing to help us create opportunities? Say something, Anna. A beat later, I finally understood what he meant. I had messaged Remy's friend, asking him to come keep Remy company during the 4. He was the one who passed it on to Layla. I had forced myself to stay conscious just to get him to the hospital. And now I was being interrogated? It felt absurd. My exhaustion snapped into anger in an instant. I wrenched my hand free and stepped back several paces. You're right, Remy, I said. I looked at him without expression. I really don't care about you anymore. But I'm not so bored that I'd waste time creating chances for you and Layla. You don't have that much presence in my life anymore. Whether you're together or not has nothing to do with me. And if you're sick in the future, don't force yourself to come to school. Situations like today are a burden to other people, too. Remy stared at me, intense emotion surging violently in his eyes. Layla had already walked over. I didn't say another word. I left with the driver. My relationship with Remy dropped to freezing point. During morning study, the English teacher went to a staff meeting. Only the 2 of us were left in the office. After exchanging and grading a short English quiz, he was about to speak, just as he always did, to go over the wrong answers. I lowered my head, took back my paper, and spoke politely. Thank you. I'll correct it myself. No need for you to explain. The only sound left in the office was the scratch of pen on paper. Remy stayed silent for a long time. Then, just like at the beginning, he wrote the explanation on scrap paper and pushed it over. His movements were light, as if afraid of disturbing something. My gaze didn't shift at all. I crumpled the paper into a ball and threw it into the trash without hesitation. Wrong questions could always be solved. Even if it took more time, I didn't want to say another word to him. This state between Remy and me lasted until the competition ended. There was only one day left before I would leave. I had thought that Remy and I would never cross paths again. It was the season when winter gave way to spring. The inland city felt even drier than usual. The neighborhood and streets were plastered with notices about fire prevention and hazard inspections. But clearly, the school hadn't taken them to heart. An aging electrical circuit in the old physics lab building caught fire. Our class happened to be having lab there. As the flames grew, the teacher calmly evacuated the students downstairs before finally letting out a breath and calling 119. While the class monitor was counting heads, he suddenly shouted, "Where's Anna? Anna? Where is Anna? Oh no, I just remembered. Before the fire started, the teacher sent her to the classroom next door to get weights." Remy and Marvin's expressions changed abruptly. The fire quickly spread to the classroom next door. My foot was still stuck inside the multimedia cabinet. The cabinet panel had warped, stabbing diagonally into my ankle. Thick smoke poured in through the half-open window, billowing into the room in heavy waves. I coughed uncontrollably. For a moment, I thought my departure had come early. Maybe this fire was arranged by the system, meant to send me home. But then Remy appeared. His breathing was unsteady, it was obvious he'd run back. What happened? I covered the lower half of my face. I was picking up the weights that fell inside. My ankle got stuck here, I can't pull it out. Remy dropped to one knee in front of me and checked the injury. Fortunately, the wound wasn't deep. He smashed the cabinet panel and gently pulled my foot free. The fire gradually blocked the doorway. Seeing this, Remy frowned, scooped me up, and ran. I instinctively struggled. He glanced down at me. "You can't walk out on your own. Even if you hate me, bear with it for now." Leaning against his shoulder, my face burned with embarrassment. "Thank you." Remy pressed his lips into a thin line and carried me out of the building at a sprint. He set me back on the ground. Marvin ran out from another exit as well. I limped over immediately. "Are you hurt?" He had just shaken his head when someone behind us shouted, "The window's falling, watch out." Half of a third-floor window frame, its structure burned through, plunged straight down toward us. There was no time to react or run. A hand shoved hard against my back. Marvin and I stumbled forward, narrowly avoiding the falling frame. But it smashed into Remy's shoulder instead. The impact nearly drove him to his knees. His friend rushed over to support him. "Bro Green, are you okay?" He shook his head without speaking. My gaze lingered on the fine beads of sweat on his forehead. Marvin nodded to him. "Thanks. If you're hurt, say it. You got injured for us. We'll take responsibility." Remy tugged faintly at the corner of his mouth, offering no reply. Marvin let out a short scoff, as if thinking him ungrateful. "Come on, Anna. He's fine. Let's not embarrass ourselves by hovering." The two of them were still oil and water. Remy straightened up and noticed I was still looking at him. His Adam's apple bobbed, he averted his gaze. "I'm fine. You can go." He returned to that distant, unapproachable coldness. But just moments ago, when he rushed in and shoved me aside. The panic in his eyes had been impossible to hide. The class monitor noticed my ankle. "Anna, you need a tetanus shot. You can't walk properly, find someone to go with you." Marvin answered naturally, "I'll go with her." Remy turned away with his friend, ready to head back to the classroom. I called out, "Remy, do you have time to go to the hospital with me?" He froze, then turned back. The uncertainty in his dark eyes gradually settled. "Yeah." I persuaded Marvin to go back and went to the hospital with Remy instead. He registered at the self-service machine. I reminded him, "Register too. Your shoulder needs to be checked too." Remy paused for a few seconds, then followed my advice and registered twice. After my injection, Remy came out as well, holding the medication the doctor had prescribed. On a bench outside the hospital, I swung my legs slowly. "Remy. Thank you, really. You saved me twice today. And you saved Marvin too." I turned my head to look at him. "Can I ask why you dislike Marvin so much?" He shot me a sideways glance, his tone slightly cold. "Why? I just want to know if there's some misunderstanding between you two. If there is, you could clear it up. Marvin isn't a bad person." I remembered that the original story never detailed Marvin's ending. But since Remy would later become the city's top power player, having such a strained relationship with Marvin could only be harmful. Before leaving, I hoped I could still do something for Marvin. Remy let out a soft, mocking scoff and lowered his eyes. "So you deliberately brought me to the hospital, took me to get treated, this roundabout show of goodwill, just to make peace for your childhood friend? You really can't stand anyone disliking him that much?" He met my gaze, a hint of ridicule in his eyes. Didn't you say you don't like him? How did that turn into me liking Marvin? I explained, genuinely confused. I brought you to the hospital because I heard you got hit by the window frame. It has nothing to do with Marvin. I'm only saying this as a close friend who doesn't want him to be misunderstood. It felt impossible to reason with Remy. I gave up trying to persuade him and planned to call a car back to school. Beside me, Remy suddenly spoke. About last time? I'm sorry. I looked at him. The time I had gastritis and was getting in for, Remy said. I thought you were trying to create an opportunity for Layla and me. I panicked and took it out on you. The small road outside the hospital was quiet and secluded. So quiet that I could even hear his breathing falter for a beat before he continued. He didn't seem as calm as he looked. Anna, I don't like Layla. I never have. Remy said that he and Layla had attended the same middle school. In their first year, before he knew how to fight, he was cornered by thugs. Layla happened to pass by and called the police, saving him. Out of gratitude, I treated her better and better. I never refused her requests. People said that meant I liked Layla. I'd never liked anyone before, so I didn't know if that was true. Later, when everyone believed I did, I started to think I really liked her. He paused almost imperceptibly, his voice lowering. Until I met. It's getting late, I interrupted casually, standing up and stretching. School should be dismissed by now. I'm heading home. Bye. Only then did it finally sink in what he was trying to say. Why he was hostile toward Marvin. Why he was so furious when he thought I was matchmaking him with Layla. I turned and took a few steps away. Remy hurried after me and blocked my path. If you don't want to hear that sentence, I won't say it, for now. He bent slightly, meeting my eyes. Anna, I know that to you now, I'm not even as important as a stranger. I've done many things that hurt you. So you gave up on me. I stared at my toes, unmoved by his words. Why was it always like this? After the system declared my mission a failure, he said he could help me get on stage. I was sent home soon after. Now, suddenly, he was saying the person he liked had always been me. Even Remy's understanding of love was delayed and twisted. When he softened his tone, it sounded almost like coaxing. I'll make it up to you, Anna. I don't need that. Remy hummed softly and smiled faintly. It's not for you. It's something I want to do. And tomorrow happens to be Saturday. Want to go to the amusement park? I refused calmly. I won't go. Tomorrow, I would be going home. Remy didn't seem surprised by my answer. Then I'll go by myself. I'll bring a cake and stand at the amusement park and trance all day. You're sick, I said bluntly. Remy chuckled lightly. Maybe. Anna, it's okay if you don't come. I just want to know what you were feeling that day. I didn't take Remy's words to heart. To me, he truly no longer mattered. I didn't know why, but the closer it got to going home, the calmer I became. So calm that on the night before I left, I still slept soundly. The next day, the system, absent for a long time, appeared again. Ariana, it said. I'm here to take you home. It called me by my real name. I left the house as usual. After saying goodbye to Marvin, the only person in this world who knew who I really was, I slung my canvas bag over my shoulder and walked away. It felt no different from any other day. As if I were just heading to the library to study, planning to come back after it closed. My steps grew lighter, each one soft and buoyant. Only when the system told me the time had come did I stop. To say goodbye. To this dream that had lasted 2 whole years. Bye-bye. I'm going home now. End of main story. Epilogue. 11 a.m. Remy had already been standing at the entrance of the amusement park for 4 hours. He knew, deep down, that Anna probably wouldn't come. So from the very beginning, he hadn't held much hope. Still, he couldn't stop the chill spreading through his chest. Crowds streamed around him. From time to time, people glanced his way, curious how long this boy, who looked like he'd been stood up, intended to keep waiting. So this was the situation Anna had endured. Standing there all day, forcing herself through the embarrassment, holding on to hope. In the end, Remy didn't wait until the park closed. He left midway through. After receiving a call saying Anna had been in a car accident and was being rushed to the hospital with severe injuries. Anna woke up on the 3rd day after the accident. Remy had been keeping vigil by her bedside. In a hoarse voice, he asked, "How are you? Are you feeling uncomfortable anywhere?" The girl shook her head obediently. "I'm a little thirsty." Remy immediately poured a cup of warm water. Anna didn't take it. She looked at him and smiled. Radiant. "Remy, can you feed me?" The boy looked up in disbelief. After a long moment, he gave a low hum and brought the cup to her lips. His movements were gentle. And if one looked closely, faintly trembling. Marvin stood quietly at the doorway, watching the scene. After a moment, he turned and left without expression. He'd still held a sliver of hope. That maybe when she woke up, she would still be Ariana. That perhaps, because of some bug, she hadn't been sent away. Now it was clear. The real Anna had truly returned. Anna inherited all the memories from the 2 years the player had spent here. Which meant she also knew that her family would eventually go bankrupt, and her own ending wouldn't be good. And the boy in front of her, the one she had once bullied and humiliated, seemed destined for extraordinary success. She could tell. Remy had fallen in love. More precisely, he had fallen in love with Ariana. But that was fine. She would continue to imitate Ariana's behavior and stay with Remy. To avoid her tragic future, she didn't mind pretending. All the way until she married him. But even though she did imitate Ariana quite convincingly, Remy still sensed something was wrong before long. After Anna was discharged, she agreed to forgive him and be with him. That evening after school, Remy walked her home. At her doorstep, the girl tiptoed, trying to kiss him. For reasons he couldn't explain, when he met her dark, glossy eyes, Remy instinctively avoided it. Marvin happened to pass by, scoffed softly, and walked on. Remy watched his retreating figure, thoughtful. Anna tugged at Remy's hand. "What's wrong?" Remy came back to himself and squeezed her fingertips. "Nothing. Go on inside, Anna." A chill flashed through Anna's eyes, but she still smiled and answered softly. "Okay." What an idiot, she thought. Why is he so hard to deal with? Remy didn't believe in ghosts, gods, or anything that couldn't be proven by science. But he believed what he saw. The girl in front of him looked the same. Even her habits were strikingly similar to before. And yet, he felt an inexplicable unease. There was also Marvin's reaction earlier. Hadn't he always liked Anna? So why had he had almost no contact with her lately? Even when he heard that Remy and Anna were together, his reaction had been indifferent. Driven by instinct, Remy chased after Marvin. "Wait." Marvin turned around. "What is it?" Even though everything about this sounded absurd, Remy still asked, "Where's Anna?" "I mean, the original Anna." Marvin's expression changed abruptly. The system hadn't expected things to turn out this way. The target of the mission had awakened. He could even speak directly with it. "No matter the cost, I want to go see her." The system thought it had been a long time since it had encountered someone this spectacularly stupid. Ariana had chased him for 2 years, and he hadn't spared her a glance. Now she was gone, had completely forgotten him, and he was saying he'd pay any price to find her. After a long silence, the system finally said, "Sure." Ariana went back through a car accident. "If you want to go too, it'll be the same method, just more painful. Getting crushed by a truck. And the second, most important, condition. You'll go to another world, but you'll never be able to be with Ariana. You'll only be able to watch as she falls in love with someone else, dates, marries, and spends her life with them. To her, you'll be nothing more than a stranger, or at best, a friend. If she ever realizes you like her, you'll become the person she despises most. That's your setting. Even so, do you still want to go?" The system thought Remy would at least hesitate. But he simply listened quietly, then nodded. "I never thought she'd be with me. I just want to see her." Cool moonlight rested on his shoulders, making him look calm and clear-eyed. "I don't care what role I have. As long as I can stay by her side." The system thought back to 2 years ago, when Ariana had first arrived. The boy before it had been withdrawn and gloomy, carrying a faint air of world weariness. Without realizing it, Ariana had changed him a great deal. "All right," it said. "I'll come back for you in 3 days and send you over. I'm warning you, once you go, you can never come back." "Okay." Ariana's deskmate thought she'd changed ridiculously fast. "Ariana, you're totally a 3-minute heat kind of person. You were saying you liked Remy just a few days ago. I even bought you a personally signed physical copy today. How did you suddenly stop liking him?" "It hasn't even been a week." Ariana felt a little embarrassed. She took the book and smiled. "I don't know. I just stopped liking him. But I still really like the signed copy. Thank you." As she spoke, the preparatory bell rang. Someone in class said, "We've got a transfer student. I just saw him passing the office." "Boy or girl? Good looking?" The homeroom teacher's figure had already appeared outside the window. The chatter had to stop. "Let me introduce a new classmate to everyone. Wow, he's so handsome, Ariana, look." Ariana was flipping through the book. The page she was on happened to be Remy's first appearance in the story. Before she could read it, someone tugged her to look up. A breeze passed through. The boy's bangs swayed lightly across his forehead, his features clean and striking. He spoke calmly, "My name is Remy.